We are ready to begin our first presentation, and already on the screen, good morning to Dr. Zoran Milivojević. Good morning, Zoran. Welcome to our symposium. I will just introduce you and then leave you to give your presentation. So, Dr. Milivojević is the president of the Serbian Union of Associations of Psychotherapists. He's a psychotherapist, supervisor, trainer, and author. He's the author of...
Good morning, everybody. I was not able to unmute myself, so Martin was successful in that, so I hope that you hear me now. I also want to say welcome to everybody, and it is a very important meeting, and I suppose that today it will be very interesting for all of us and very useful, and I hope that it will be regarded as support and help for our Ukrainian colleagues. I will present my the title is the process of dehumanization and also the process of rehumanization in situations of war. It will be three parts of this presentation. The first one will be anatomy of dehumanization on individual and interpersonal levels. And the second, it will be social aspects of dehumanization on the collective level, especially in the war situation. And the third one is understanding the process of rehumanization in post-war period. And when we talk about dehumanization, we are talking about other people because we have image of other human being, and that image can be positive or negative. And for a person, this image of other is reality, and there is no difference between image and the other, which is known as a mistake on confusing the map with the territory. When we have a positive image of other human being, then we consider other person as a valuable human being. And interpersonally, it's a position which is very well known in transactional analysis as a position, I'm okay, you are okay position. Meaning I have self-respect and I respect you simultaneously. And when person is in this position, that person acts toward the other in humane manner. Dignity, which is also I'm okay, you're okay position, is the basis for identification with the other. The other is the same as I am, or the other is the same as the people I love. And identification is also the basis for very important aspects like sympathy, compassion, empathy, and solidarity. And if I do something bad to other people who I consider as an okay or valuable human being, then I feel guilt. And this point is very important when we talk about dehumanization. And I also want to present some very simple concept from transactional analysis, which is called OK Corral. Meaning that you have two dimensions, I am okay or I'm not okay, meaning I'm a valuable human being or I'm not valuable human being, and also the same for the other. And when we cross these dimensions, we have four fields. The first one is I'm okay, you are okay, which is the most important one. And the second is I'm okay, you are not okay position. And the third, I'm not okay, you are okay, which we see very frequently in our patients. And the third one is negativistic one. I'm not okay, you are not okay. And actually, we are talking about two positions here. The first one, I'm okay, you are okay, is a position of dignity and humaneness. And the second, I'm okay, you are not okay, is a position of hostility and dehumanization. And what would be the ideal of humanism? One author, Martin Groder, divided that positions in 5 different attitudes. First, it will be I am okay, you are okay, we, the group we are making, are okay, they are okay, and the world is okay place. And when we talk about social conflicts, it's usually between we and they. So dehumanization is also a process in a social psychology. And because dehumanization is so important, we will differentiate it in 3 different parts. What is dehumanization? It's the process when the other is perceived or interpreted as a non-human, less than human, animal-like, evil, monstrous, sadistic, and so on. And I can differentiate 3 different aspects of dehumanization. Apathetic, it's from apathy, there you can have sympathy or antipathy, or you can be apathetic to other human being. When the other is perceived as a thing, as an object without value. And the second type of dehumanization is contempt. The other is perceived as inferior, subhuman, or animal-like. And the third, and the most important for a war situation, is hatred. The other is perceived as evil, monstrous, sadistic, dangerous. Let's proceed with a short summary about apathetic dehumanization. A defining feature of this form of dehumanization is that the other person is reduced to an object, a thing rather than human being. It's characterized by an absence of compassion and empathy toward others. The individual shows little genuine interest in other people except when they possess something that is desired or needed. So these persons are indifferent and without feelings. In such moments, a predatory instinct is activated. However, once the desired goal has been achieved, any interest in the other person quickly disappears, along with any concern for the potential suffering of the other human being. The second one is contempt as dehumanization. Contempt is actually feeling, and the concept of contempt stands in direct opposition to idea of human dignity and human rights. It is based on the belief that humanity and worth of the personality is conditional. Only those who possess certain valued qualities are regarded as fully human and worthy of respect. Those who lack such qualities are seen as less than fully human, reduced to a subhuman status, an animal, or even a worthless object. Contempt likewise excludes compassion, solidarity, and empathy toward others. It may be accompanied by antipathy and a desire to humiliate, demean, or degrade the other person. And I'm coming from transactional analysis, and we use drawings because sometimes a picture is worth thousands of words. So this is the contempt in a diagram to grasp the essence of this form of dehumanization. So the idea is there is a level of equal human being. But if you are not on that level, if you are less person, then there is contempt. And there is also another level, which is called minimal level of humanness, meaning that under such level, you are not a human being. So this is actually a mental process in contempt. On the group level, collective contempt is often an introduction to collective hatred. And contempt is a level of dehumanization that leads to hatred as a deeper level of dehumanization. And my experience and the conceptualizations in this area is originally from the Balkan Wars, the wars after dissolution of former Yugoslavia. So I'm referring to that. And the third and the most important form of dehumanization is hatred. Why? Because it is connected with destruction of other human being. And while contempt views the other as a bad and worthless, hatred perceives the other as evil. A person comes to be seen as evil when they are viewed through what is called cognitive triangle of evil. And what is cognitive triangle of evil? It's when the other person is perceived as someone who threatens something of great value for me, someone who does so consciously and intentionally, rather than as a result of illness, impairment, intoxication, or diminished responsibility, and someone who has no legitimate reason or justification for such actions. So he is threatening something important for me. He is doing that consciously and intentionally, but no legitimate reason or justification. And why is somebody doing it? When another person is perceived through this triangle, their behavior appears irrational, incomprehensible, and profoundly disturbing. The individual then explains to themselves and others that the other person is evil. Once the other is defined as evil, they are no longer seen as deserving a place within the human community, and hatred may then give rise to attempts to destroy the other, emotionally, socially, or physically. And this is some drawing about hatred. So there is a triangle through which person is perceiving the other. And when it satisfies all three conditions, then the person thinks that the other is evil and see other as evil. So the image of the other is demonized. Another word for that is satanization, from the satanization, or vilification, demonization, and so. So the other is not a person. And in some Slavic languages, the other is called devil, vrag, đavo, and so on. And there is a classical picture of good and evil, and I have a little bit triggering drawings. And the first one, the good is destroying evil, and when the other is destroyed because he is evil, there is no guilt, and possibly there is a pride because of act of destruction of another human being. And this kind of humanization, we can see it in psychotherapy, especially we can see how it's toxic when parents are giving messages and labeling the being of the child as evil or subhuman or something like that, because this is the foundation for later self-contempt and self-hatred in that child when it grows up. An implicit assumption within dehumanization is the failure to distinguish between being and doing, meaning that what you are doing is who you are. And dehumanization exists on a continuum ranging from cancel culture and humiliation to so terrible events as genocide. And now the second part about some social aspects of dehumanization in a war. First of all, dehumanization of the enemy is the basic principle of war. And that can be, not can be, that is true for both sides in conflict. Because war is experienced as an existential struggle or fight between us and them. And the existence of an external enemy strengthens group and community cohesion. And through war propaganda and media narratives, societies create a consensus that the enemy is evil. People adapt to war situation and change mentality. Those who resist the dehumanization of the enemy may themselves become viewed as suspects or even as traitors. And that could be dangerous. So the whole social field is a production of consensus that the enemy is evil. But if we are talking about two states or two groups or two communities who are in war conflict, then this, what I said, is valid for both of them. So we have mutual dehumanization and mutual hatred. And one also, according to my opinion, useful concept is the concept of a drama triangle, which was developed from Stephen Carpent in. And what is this concept? This concept is the concept of the three archetypal roles. And the first role is the persecutor, which is some evil force or aggressor. And the second role is the role of the victim. And the persecutor is bad, evil, and the victim is good. And there is a third position of rescuer, which is also good. And this is dynamics from the fairy tales. There is a victim is, for example, child is a victim of some negative force, and then good supreme power comes to the scene, and victim is rescued. And there is what rescuer can do. The first one, rescuer can help the victim. And what is the second is persecuting the persecutor, which is aggression or contra-aggression and so on. And what is the problem with this triangle? Because each side in a war has its own triangle and narrative. So we have two competing triangles in narratives. And, and usually both sides see themselves as a victim and rescuer who, through self-defense, persecute the persecutor. So both sides see themselves as good. And a little bit about battlefield situation. As you know, war is the organized practice of killing human beings. And dehumanization makes it possible to do so without guilt. So you must dehumanize other in order to avoid to be guilt because of killing or murder. And sympathy or empathy toward the enemy may be dangerous and sometimes even fatal. The battlefield is kill or be killed environment. And this kind of dehumanization is normal for such situation. And people who are dying on the battlefield are also fuel for further dehumanization by their comrades and friends. And the third one is about understanding the process of rehumanization. And what we can say about that? First, rehumanization is a change in perception of members of the group that was previously perceived as a hostile, as an enemy group. And rehumanization is a process opposite to dehumanization. And the process of rehumanization relates to post-war period. Rehumanization of the image of the others is slow and complex, and sometimes it takes years or decades to grow and to develop. And the transition from hostility to neutrality or to eventually friendly relation is a very, very long process, but that is light at the end of the tunnel. One of definition of the war is that it is continuation of political conflict with other means, meaning that there is a wider definition of the war, and the kinetic war is something that comes at the end. And that means that the war is the product of the political process. And after the war, as the time passes on, some events are not so important as before. So people are not looking at the past, they are looking into the present and the future. And after the war, you have to rebuild something and to improve a lot of things and to improve economy and the quality of life and so on. And rehumanization is the process from the both from the both sides of the some community. On the top, there are politicians and media, and it must be political decision that two groups are or two states are not enemy anymore. And on the different level, on the bottom up, ordinary people are reconnecting again after the war, because maybe before the war they were friends, but when the war stopped, when the war started, the friendship stopped, and so on. And very frequently, as I noticed here in former Yugoslavia, ordinary people are mutually communicate from the victim position, meaning they find the common ground as the victim of the war, victim of the politicians, victim of the war profiteers or foreign powers, and so on. So it's attempt from ordinary human beings to reconnect and normalize situation. And I just want to remind you of the spiral of hatred, meaning during the time, usually you have some negative action and negative reaction to that action and negative reaction to that reaction. Znači, both sides are, one side is from the left and the other side is from the right, and say they are creating spiral which is growing distance between them and growing hatred and dehumanization and so on. But the same spiral is after the war. It's called spiral of trust, meaning that after the war, people are very distrustful to members of the other group, and they need to see that the other is not having some malicious motives or something like that in interpersonal communication. So one side is doing something good, the other side is positively reacting to that, and the first side is also positive reaction to reaction, and you have a spiral. At the end, something which was a very big emotional distance is going to be much less distance than before. So this process is developing in between two communities or states or nations, and as I saw, it's very slow, but at the end, people have normal relationship with each other, meaning that the process of rehumanization is practically established. And that is all. Thank you very much. If you want this presentation, you can email me, and that's it.
Thank you so very much, Zoran, for this excellent opening presentation. Thank you for all the experience you bring from the Balkan Wars. Your lived experience comes through in how you speak about dehumanization and rehumanization. Most of the questions to you from our participants will come at the round table this afternoon, but there's just a few minutes now, and I would just like to ask you one question myself. So this is with respect to the Stephen Karpman triangle: persecutor, victim, rescuer. And I just want to make a comment about it, because in relation to the full-scale war in Ukraine, something that I have learned through working so closely with Ukrainian colleagues and feels to me to be so important is that Ukrainians are not allowing themselves to take on victimhood. They are avoiding being victims of the situation. It's an internal holding of themselves, not allowing themselves to be victims of the situation, because then that gives Putin too much power. So avoiding victimhood means that that it's an inner strength. And also, I think it changes the triangle.
We cannot hear you.
Is that okay now? Yeah. It's a kind of self-rescue. So it changes the triangle. I'd just like to ask you for your comment on that. How can we see this triangle slightly differently, perhaps in relation to the Ukraine war?
The definition of victim is a little bit different. And as I said, that's roles. And I can move from the position of the victim to the position of rescuer and defend myself, and to become to persecute the persecutor. So it's at the end, both sides in the fight are thinking that they are persecuting the persecutor, and that is something which is very clear maybe 15 years after the war. So thank you for this thinking and comments, and this can be tricky. Yes, I agree with you.
Yes. Thank you so much, Zoran. We are greatly honoured that you have given us a presentation today. Thank you very much indeed on behalf of everyone. Thank you.